You're listening to SM Media, the home of exclusive West of Scotland Football League content. Hi folks, and welcome to the latest episode of the SM Media West of Scotland Football Show. I'm Scott McPike. It's always a pleasure to be the host. It's a pleasure to welcome back onto the channel. He's been on the show a few times in different areas. It's a pleasure to welcome onto the show the manager of Rossvale, Josh Gardner.
All right, mate, what's happening?
All good, yourself?
I'm happy to be on again.
Always a pleasure, mate. Always a pleasure. It's different times, obviously, we've joining the kind of SPL show in the past, and it's good to hear on about the West, because obviously you've just kind of come back into the West after a bit of time away. What's been your kind of thoughts since you've been back in?
To be fair, like, I think I spoke to you the last time, and I was pretty eager to get back up to the West, to be honest with you. Sort of, when you say a comfort zone, listen, I got a lot out of going down to the south of Scotland. It came with its own challenges, but when I came back up here, I was excited about it. Rossvale kind of came sort of towards the end of last season. It was an option, so when I sort of looked at it, I thought, that's a bit of me. That spoke to the committee, loved the guys involved, loved what their sort of visions were for the club. And I wanted to be part of it, and I felt like they wanted me, and I felt like I wanted to go there. And so far, I can't say enough about them, to be honest with you. They've been brilliant. Loved being there. They look after us really, really well, to be honest, and I'm really pleased to be up here. And it's been a challenge. The fourth division's a very competitive league, to be honest.
What was the kind of, like, there's obviously been a bit of change in terms of the kind of Rossvale structure over the past couple of years. It's now kind of getting a bit of like solidity. When you saw the kind of setup, and it is a name in the kind of West of Scotland setup, but they're obviously a name kind of looking to rebuild. What was that about the project that kind of caught your eye?
I think for me, probably first of all the timing of it, because I think if I was maybe offered it maybe the year before, when it was still Rossvale Academy, there was still Rossvale up in the top leagues, and that name change hadn't really been sorted yet. And that, I think, just in general for the public, even try to sign players or even just try to explain it to anybody, it was all very confusing. And even at it now, and I still don't understand what's going on. All I know is they're New Caledonian locomotives and we are Rossvale, and I kind of bought into the vision that they are down in the bottom leagues now, and they want to try and get as close to where they were before. They seem invested in me, and I seem invested in the challenge. Obviously, I'm still young, so I've got time in my hands to try and build the club back up to where it was. But step one is trying to get out Division 4, and I think that needs to be the target for us, as it will be for most clubs in the Division 4. But that's what kind of drew me to it. It was the ambition of it, that they're just not want to consolidate a place. They don't want to. They kind of want to start climbing the leagues as quick as possible, and they're working really hard off the pitch as well to try and make it a bit more professional. And I just felt as if I could add value to the club, and that's ultimately why I went. And I feel as if we've done that. I feel as if we've made big strides in the first couple of months, and we can only get better.
You've obviously as well brought in a couple of good guys in the kind of coaching setup as well. Like last year, it was a lot of young players, but you brought in a couple of experienced guys as well. You look at the league and you look at I kind of think it's a brilliant league this year. You've got players teams coming up. The likes of kind of looking at Glenvale, Thorn, Giffnock. Well, there's also teams coming down for the third. Like Lugar have started well. You've got East Kilbride, Thistle, Eglinton are kind of making strides as well. It's much more of a competitive league than I think any of us expected.
It's tough, to be honest with you. It's hard to predict the scores lines that are going to happen in the league week in, week out. Like, that's how so far I'm really thankful that we went on that 7-game win run and we managed to get that run of games in pretty early. And I thought that was really important. And listen, if I'm disappointed in the last couple of games, of course I am, but if you had to offer me where am I right now after 11 games, having to build a brand new squad altogether. So I think we've only retained 3 players for last year. and the rest it's all brand new. So I had a bit in your hand off for where I'm at right now with the squad. But we've got a lot of work to do to try and achieve the goals that we've been set. But the league's brilliant, to be honest with you. Some of the facilities you're going to play are brilliant. You're treated well when you go to other grounds, and I'm really enjoying the league and its competitiveness, to be honest with you. And I think it'll be the league to watch. I think even the promotion spots, like it's ridiculously close for like the top 7 or 8 teams for the promotion spots. So it's going to be tight all the way through. I can't see anybody running away with it, if I'm being honest with you. I can't see a clear winner. I think it'll be maybe a low points tally that wins the league as well. Similar to probably what the first division's like a wee bit. But obviously teams are up at that level or a higher level than us. But I think in terms of how competitive the league is, it gives that sort of vibe off the same as them.
Yes, we're on a great run. Obviously, kind of big results. Obviously, away from home, beating the likes of Glenvale and St Peters. Been a difficult few weeks, obviously. Get out the cup to Cumnock last week, and then 2 disappointing away defeats. Obviously, Eglinton 2 weeks before, and then on Saturday at Campbelltown. Is it kind of difficult when you said you were on that 7-game winning run? Is it what's kind of been the kind of issue the past couple of weeks? Because like sensational results against the top 2 in the league so far, and then a poor wee run. It's kind of hard to build on that. Would you kind of go along with that?
I don't know. Listen, that's the $1,000,000 question for us in that changing room as well, because we felt that we were in a really good place and getting better each week. And we've went now to Form, we've went to St Peters, we've went to Glenvale, and we've got 7 points and played every one of them away from home. So you couldn't have asked much more of that because they're top sides, really top sides. And then we went to Darvel in the Scottish Cup, and I think anybody that was watching that game would probably say, although it was a 4-1 defeat, we performed brilliantly in that game as well. We done really well. And then since then, something's not been quite there. It's like we've lost that wee edge to us now. But as I said to the boys, it's going to be like that. You're not going to go through a full season where it's just going to be an upward trajectory all the time. There's going to be dips. It's up to us how long the dips last for. But one thing I will say for the boys is they'll work hard. I know Saturday hurt them, and Campbelltown were well worth their victory. There's taking the hunt away for them. But we'll get in this week. We've not got a game on Saturday. We'll get in. We'll work hard this week. We'll try and right the wrongs at training, and then our next game is a week on Saturday against EK Thistle, and we'll try our best to get back on track on that game.
We'll move into talking about the West Sides that won the Senior Scottish Cup over the weekend. Kind of mixed bag. 5 teams obviously were taking part. We'll just run through the results. B obviously went out. They lost 3-1 at home to Broomhill. Cumnock, massive result for them. They came from behind to beat Turriff United there in the next round. Colwynnon lost 1-0 at home to Cowdenbeath. Clydebank, by the sounds of it, very unlucky. They were 3-2. They lost 3-2 away in Formartine. And we also had Pollok, a massive result for them. They won 5-2 at home to Gallifrey. Pollok and Cumnock on the draw for the next round. Massive achievements for them and a big chance to go into the 4th round.
It's huge for them as well, because you want these clubs, you want the clubs for the West, you want as many as possible in that hat for the next round. And listen, I know Moff will probably be disappointed as well, and it's just, but you've got to congratulate the teams that went through. I actually fancied Beef to be honest, to do a job on Broomhill, but it just shows that they are human as well, because they are actually getting beaten games where it seems as if Beef are winning every week. But no, it's good for the clubs that are involved. And again, you're kind of hoping, because obviously last year we had your Darvel beating Aberdeen, we had your Pollok up at Annan. So you're kind of looking like, who's the next one? Where's the shock for us this year? Where can it come from in the West? Could it be a Cumnock? Could it be somebody else? You don't know. And you're always cheering these teams on, because the more recognition their level gets, the better.
And it's that as well. Like, you look at those 5 games, and we said it last week, they're 5 really good West sides, but they're also playing against 5 really good sides at good levels as well. Like Broomhill, really good side. Like Turriff United as well, doing quite well in the Highland League. They're giving it, although a couple of teams went, like 3 teams went out, but they gave a really good account of themselves against top sides.
That's it. And you're probably looking at, like, I think it shows how strong the West is as well. Was Clydebank Martin as well, and you're probably thinking, like, you probably favour Clydebank to do the job there, but these teams that we probably are a wee bit ignorant to the other sort of regions as well. Like, there's top teams in the regions as well, like top teams, and especially up in the Highlands. Like, obviously, one of my best mates played for Breton last year, and I caught a few of his. There's some top teams up in the Highlands League, and I'm sure Brora got a good result against Steny as well. So it just shows you how strong that league really is. And but again, we've got a strong league, good managers, good players, and there's no reason that why we can't cause the upsets again in the Scottish Cup.
And you look at some of the other results for like these, for example, Dunbar United beating East Fife, Jeanfield Swifts absolutely demolishing Elgin. Like, there's like the people like the SPFL sides that with the promotion relegation debate will go on, but the sides that they're giving account of themselves, like Jeanfield 6, Elgin 0. Now you can say Elgin are a bit of a mess, fair enough, but that's some, like, even the East sides deserve a lot of credit as well, because they're going to sides in the SPFL who are experienced, have played in cups for other days, and they're going there with no fear.
It just makes you wonder, doesn't it? I think when these cup competitions come along, you see the cup shocks, it just gets you thinking all about it again. If they just opened up these leagues, like, what would it be like? What would it look like in 10 years' time? Where would these clubs be? And I think that's where we all want it to go, doesn't it? Because I think we all can see that we can more than compete with them. And there's ambitious teams and clubs in there, and you just wish they would open it up a wee bit, because these cup competitions really give you the appetite for it as well, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. Cumnock will host Broomhill in the third round, and Pollok will travel to Brora, so best of luck to them. Let's move into the league action over the weekend. There was a lot to talk about. I think we have to start at Darvel. Obviously, there's been kind of news during the week about the kind of the financial situation there. We could probably do a whole podcast based on the kind of Darvel story over the past couple of years, and I kind of think it's unfair to kind of criticise and judge people at it and things, and kind of there's a lot we know that we probably can't say and things like that. But from last season, you mentioned there, obviously, for beating Aberdeen kind of nearly 11 months ago to now kind of putting out a statement, losing, in my opinion, the best player, putting out a statement saying like things are really changing, the budget's going to be a lot different, things like that. It shows you just it can just change, and it doesn't take much for a side like who are really kind of going to the level that Darvel were at, and and we know that just looking at the players they brought in, to go from that to where they are now, it's been a massive change.
No, it is. It's just, you kind of, one thing I would say, I was quite impressed with the honesty in the statement that came out for you. And there was a lot of transparency in there. I don't think it kind of left anything hidden. I think it clearly stated where the club's at and where it's looking to be. And in my opinion, I think if you probably had to pick one of the most experienced managers at this level, you would probably pick Tony to try and steer it through the times. And I think he'll do a good job of that with the support of the committee and the sponsors and that are involved at the club. But it's just it is a bit of a shame, because where they were last year, and you would maybe hope that they could maybe kick on for that. But it is what it is, and that's where they are, and they just need to dust themselves off, reinvent themselves again, and get going. It doesn't mean that they can't be competitive. It doesn't mean that they can't go and do well here and there, but it is certainly going to be harder, because especially over the next couple of seasons, because they're going to lose their best players.
Yeah.
You might find them bringing in younger players, more development players that are maybe going to go in there. That's hence why you're seeing guys like Ian McShane left, Fergie left. My only thing is I just wish it all happened before they played us in the Scottish Cup, because they two were brilliant. But that is the way it is.
And it's tough because obviously we've got relationships with some of these guys personally, so it's difficult to talk about, and we know things that we can't really kind of dive into in a kind of public forum. But I worry about a lot of clubs. It happens a lot. Like, I remember back in the day when Irvine Meadow tried to kind of go down the route of kind of investing for the long term. It's great when it's going well, but if things change, and it doesn't take long for it to just completely fall apart. And I'm not saying that's what's happening at Darvel, but if kind of the right people don't kind of assess it and go, right, where do we kind of stop here? Where do we kind of look at this and balance the books, balance everything? It can go a different way. It can go the way we all kind of dread it going. And one thing I will say about Darvel is there's a lot of good people in there, like in terms of like people we don't hear about like publicly, who really have a lot of time and they put a lot of time and a lot of effort into that club.
No, I know, and that's it. It's the guys that you see it for, because majority of them are going to be volunteers in there. Let's be honest, and you just don't want that sort of couple of seasons that they had, especially last season. It's just like a flash in the pan type thing. You want they are still competing up there and they're still a top team. Like, listen, even if you look at the season so far, I know it's maybe not been to the level that they were maybe doing before, but it's not a horrendous start that they're having to the
No,
season.
certainly not. No.
But I dare say over the coming weeks or maybe even the season, who knows? It just depends. You don't know the mood in the camp, but probably it will have an effect on the pitch if they're losing their best players, because you're going to have to go through that transition of losing them, trying to replace them, maybe trying to alter your system because the guys aren't there. And this is where guys like Tony and his coaching staff and the club in general are they're just going to need a wee bit of patience with the fans. They're just going to need a wee bit of time to sort of regroup, reinvent themselves and refocus it all again, and then set new challenges. And listen, that might be a bit disappointing to the fans that follow Darvel as well, because they're going to have to, it's not going to be maybe the same targets that they're setting now to what they were doing before. But you just hope that they don't, as you say, that they don't follow that sort of Gretna model as well, where it just falls apart and it takes a big snow dive. I really hope it doesn't go like that. I don't think it will, but you just never know. But I really hope it doesn't. I hope they stay competitive, because I think even as the West, in terms of the league, they've gave us a lot of exposure as well over the PCE. Wouldn't they want them to do that? But again, it's maybe when you look at it as well, you look at the sustainability of a lot of the top teams. Like, look at your Talbots as well. It just shows you how hard it is to stay at the top for that long, and it's a mean feat that what they've done and what they've produced over the years as well. And it's that consistency, and you just hope that Darvel can keep that going as well for them and their fans.
Yeah, absolutely. But we'll kind of move into the result of the weekend. Troon go there, 2-1 victory for Troon. Mark Shanklin scoring against his former teammate Andy Leishman. I think he'll have enjoyed that. It's obviously the kind of main talking point going into the game was Darvel, but that's a massive win for Troon, and it puts them up to 10th place. And they've been in a wee bit of a dip recently, so getting that result, that'll be a massive boost of confidence for them.
Listen, I think Troon's a very well run club. I went down there last year with Saints to play them in the Scottish Cup, and I was really impressed with them. I felt as if their set up off the pitch was really good, and I think they've had the same sort of coaching team for years as well, and they've added good guys like Shankers, and that's a few goals, a couple of crackers in a couple of weeks he
He
scored.
likes a free kick. He's been liking a free kick recently. I'll give him that.
He's a good player. We'll give him that. But no, I think I don't mean any disrespect, but I feel as if Troon are a funny team. I feel as if they're a team, in my view, that I think they could be right up there challenging, but it just seems to be that sort of consistency levels where I feel as if that's if Troon had to go and beat anybody in the league, you would never be surprised by it because of that quality. But it does also seem, and I think if you look at the results this year, it does seem like if they could just go on a wee run, because they are capable of beating the top teams, but it just seems like they could maybe beat one of the top teams and then equally go the next week and get beat off one of the bottom teams, and that's probably the bugbear. I'm sure I listened to Dean on this before, and I think he said something similar ages and ages ago. Whereas they'll maybe go and beat the top teams but can't follow it up the next week, and that'll be the challenge for them, because I don't think it's a case of they've not got the skill to do it. I definitely do. I just think they just need to try and put that wee run together. But they're a good team, Troon. They've got loads and loads of good players, loads of good players. But they'll just be looking to put a run on that. They've got to use that as a springboard for the rest of the fixtures up until Christmas, and try and get a good run going up until then.
With Friday night action, kind of the start of the whole kind of situation was we were hearing that Gartcairn were going to make a big signing. It turned out to be Darvel's Ian McShane. He comes straight into the side on Friday night. They go to Irvine Meadow, win 4-1. Mark McGuigan and Darren Smith with doubles each. Gartcairn have been a side that I think a lot of people have kind of thought, yeah, they might be kind of one of the dark horses, and they've got the potential to be. But bringing in a player of Ian McShane's quality, we saw on Friday night, it can just give you a boost that could just kick you on to another level.
Well, that's it. And listen, they've got top players, Gartcairn. I remember speaking to Mick at the start of the season, and think there were maybe a couple of games in, and he had a lot of injuries to contend with as well. So I think a lot. I know, like one of my mates, Jamie Bain, plays there. He was injured for the start of the season as well, so they didn't have him available, and there was a few others. But I think now that you've seen Gapcairn starting to get a lot of men back, and you've seen their results. I'm sure is that the third win in the row or something, or four wins in
I
a
think they're on a good run, yeah.
and they've scored a lot of goals in that. And speaking to Jamie as well, he kind of said that McShane just sort of slotted into the team nicely, which is you would expect that for him as well. So he'll only strengthen them, and I wouldn't be surprised to see Gartcairn going a run now as well, because they've got goal scorers. I'm sure they signed Matt McGuigan as well.
Yeah, he scored a double, right?
And they've also got Jack McElveen on the bench who was at Glencairn, and
yeah.
they've goals all through the team, to be honest with you. So I generally wouldn't be surprised in the slightest if they still became. I'm not saying they'll go and win it, but I don't think they'll be in the position they're in just now. I can see them climbing the league. Whereas before, if you think about it, I'm sure they had like 1 point at their first 4 or 5 games. They were struggling, so I think they'll kick on for that. They're an ambitious club, Gapcairn as well, so I think they'll do well. And I feel for the Meadow a wee bit, because I feel as if they're really struggling this season. And again, that's a massive club at the Meadow as well. It's a huge club, and you just kind of hope that they find a wee bit of form as well. But it doesn't. They don't seem to be giving you much hope that it's going to be that's the case.
I mean they've had some results. Sale obviously they had a good result against Glenafton, but it's following up on it, as we say. Like you win big games, like you can win big games, but you've got to go on a run, especially in this league when it's so competitive. I always say it. 3 or 4 wins in a row, and it can just put you up the league, and it can just any type of run. You know yourself, obviously at Rossvale, like any sort of run you can get can just build you in so much confidence. We're seeing it with Talbot as well, who will come on to next. Like they're 5 games they've won in the bounce, and they've just picked up, and they're now in a position where you can say they're on the right trajectory. And that's all. That's like teams, particularly down the bottom of the table in that league. If they can just get that run going, it can just set them up.
It can just be massive, like literally, like it can just change the whole picture completely. It can change the whole picture. I've got to laugh at the Talbot one, because you seen it's mad, isn't it? Because it feels as if like at one point throughout the season we always doubt the Talbot somewhere or another, and I've seen a few things that people saying, "Oh, Talbot only they're not the same. Could they possibly go down?" Blah blah blah. But honestly, you write them off at your peril, Talbot. To be honest with you, because it doesn't surprise you they'll go and put 5 wins in the bounce, or even 10 wins in the bounce. I don't care how new they are. Like Tucker's a good manager. He's been on the block before. If there's anybody that's going to turn that around, it'll be him. And I'm not surprised with that. And I wouldn't be. I'm sure they're starting to get people back. I see McCratton was back. They starting
They're bringing good players in as well. Like the boy that came in, McAvoy, came in for Bonnet, and boy that obviously was at Rossvale as well. There's good players. They're bringing in good players, and you say they've got Gareth Armstrong scoring the winner. I mean, they've still got those experienced guys who've been there before, and they can still come up with the goods.
No, that's it. And it's just, I think maybe the start of the season, I think maybe they had some of the experienced heads out of the team, and it was a lot of younger guys. But you're seeing like that wee mix of youth and experience together, and they're starting to pick it up. And listen, there's been a transition period for a lot of the players as well at the start, learning how Tucker and that work, and how the league is, because I think a lot of players were experiencing it for the first time as well. But it's still early days. Like there's still like 19, 18 league games to go. So it's just, you can never write off the Talbot, and you've just got to always have them in your thoughts. And anybody that thought they were going to go down was after he'd, in my opinion.
Probably the game of the weekend was at St Cadoc's. St Cadoc's 4, Atherley 4. A really good football. It sounded a really good football game at New Tinto Park. These are two sides that I don't think they'll be challenging. Although St Cadoc's are sitting in 6th, I don't think they'll be challenging up the top, but they'll be capable, as you say, like a Troon, they'll be capable of beating the big sides and going on wee runs. And these are two sides that I just think, like, I'm no surprised it was a high scoring game, because they're two good sides.
No, definitely. And listen, I've came up against Fez plenty of times as well. Again, I think we had a few high scoring games as well. He plays an open, expansive game of football, and he's a good coach, and he'll be putting a lot of detail into St Cadoc's as well. So I find that maybe around about Christmas you might not see that coming to fruition as well. But St Cadoc's were on a decent run there as well. They were getting their results, so it's still another undefeated weekend for them. Listen, Fez will be disappointed that his team's conceded 4 goals, and he'll probably be disappointed that they've scored 4 and no one. So it's just, that's a kind of one of the freak results. Normally you score 4 goals, you win the game, but it sounds like a game for the neutral, but it's one of the ones I don't think either manager will be happy with, to be honest with you. They maybe just take the point and just say that was a freak game and let's go back to the drawing board again. But because you don't see a lot of 4-4s kicking about.
Nah, certainly not at the top level. We'll move on to the Largs game. Largs won, Benburn 0, late winner for David Ramsey. I hate to talk about it because I think it's dominated the news, but we have to mention it. The kind of big moment of the game is that it's hard to even call it a tackle for Robbie Halliday and Will Sully. You seen it?
I don't know what that was, to be honest with you. I don't even know where the boy ran. I looked as if he was running for the car park to get
somebody sent me. I was kind of flicking through and somebody sent me a message that says you have to watch this. And I'm thinking it's something like in the background because we saw the thing with the referee at Kello as well. Like there was another kind of weird clip we saw over the weekend. I'm thinking it's going to be something like that, but I don't know what he's no trying. Like, thankfully, Will's no badly hurt, but it's a shocker.
Aye, it's bad. It's really bad. It was one of the ones you felt it when you were watching it. But listen, that's a good result for Lads because Benburn were one of the most hard-working sides I've seen. Benburn, to be honest with you, and to go there to win that 1-0, 1-0 says a lot. You would take a 1-0 every week to get the clean sheet, and listen, that's top. That's a top result for Lads, and because Benburn, they're again funny team. They can beat anybody as well, and Lovers has got them working really hard, and they're very organised. Like that's a great win for them, to be honest with you, and they should be proud of that as well. And they're doing not too bad in the league as well. So I've seen a few people tipping them to maybe go down as well, which I thought was bad, but they're getting a few points on the board pretty early doors.
Yeah, they've had a brilliant start. Lags as well, they're sitting really solid. 15 points for 11 games, they're sitting 8th. Final game in the Premier Division was a 1-1 draw between Glenafton and Hurlford. Glenafton unbeaten in 5 in all competitions. Hurlford, they kind of started really well. They've just been kind of struggling for a win in the past couple of weeks in the league. I think Glenafton will just be hoping they can just get a couple of, just go on that run. They're unbeaten in 5, but they'll be wanting wins because they're sitting in a bad position in the league. In all it takes, if they can just turn a couple of their draws into wins, they could be going in a good direction.
Aye, well that's it. And listen, the probably I took that point before the game against that level position as well, but it gets to the point where you can build a bit of momentum with the whole, like, you're not getting beat, but you do eventually, you need to start putting the 3 points on the board. And listen, Mark will know that as well. He's been about the block. He'll know that more than MD, but the league's really tight. And as you said earlier, you need to, if you can go on a run, you can find yourself looking up the way rather than down the way. And I think that's where Glenafton will need to just be. They'll just take it 1 week at a time. And as for the top half's exciting for me, to be honest with you. Like there's like 6 points between, I think 6 points separate the top 5. It's close knit, and that's what you want. You don't want anybody running away with it. And I know obviously Beeve have got a few games in hand there as well, and I think they've got 3 or 4 games in hand, but it's points on the board for them. And I think Glenafton are going to need to start getting the wins on the board. But it's that division, there's no easy games in it as well. So it's like sometimes when you're down there and you can't get the win, it's like, where does it come from? And I think Irvine Meadow will be feeling like that as well. Like, there's no easy games, and it's tough. It's really, really tough. And you just hope listen, there's going to be teams that go down, but there's going to be a big club that goes down for this division because it's all big clubs in it. So it's going to be a big club that goes down, and they need to get the points on the board quick as possible, to be honest. Moving
into the first division, I think we're touching the big result. Drumchapel United 6, Shotts 0. That's a massive, thoroughly impressive victory for Drumchapel. I think Shotts have been one of the surprise packages of the season. To beat them 6-0, some result.
Aye, is it? Drumchapel, it's one of the ones I was more surprised at the scoreline, but no Drumchapel winning, to be honest with you. I'm more surprised at the 6-0 because one like Shotts, as you say, that you've not seen that for them all season, but that's a great result for Hopi and the boys as well at the Drum, because obviously I think they've been really disappointed with the Friday night game they played a couple of weeks back against Petershill. that they're setting back. But what a response that is in the league to go and beat them 6-0. And listen, the Drum could take huge amount of confidence for that. That could proper springboard them onto a big run in their division. And that if there's one league that you can go on a run in, if you can do it in the first division, you're doing really well, because that league's ridiculous at times. It's just trying to even predict that. I think that's one of the hardest leagues ever to predict. Like, it's a joke, to be honest with you. But no, I'm for that, because the guys at the Drummer, they're good guys. They work really hard behind the scenes and they do things right. So I was pleased for them there. But I know a few guys at Shots as well, so I was really surprised by it, to be honest with you. I couldn't believe that when I seen it, to be honest.
Didn't see that coming at all. Rutherglen are still top. They won 1-0 at home to Thorneywood. Big result for them. Blantyre are up to third. They won 1-0 at home to Renfrew. Rutherglen and Blantyre, they've had two good starts.
Aye, no, Rutherglen, and I think they've kind of went a different way, Rutherglen as well. They've got a pretty young squad now. But they're grinding out the wins, and I think a lot of their young players as well, they probably took a lot of experience as well, which would have helped them in their development for the cup run last year. And they're a top side, and they'll be well up there within the hunt. But if you're going to ask me to predict a winner for that league, or even who goes up, I don't know, to be honest with you. But I think they'll be in the mix. But again, I could say that about 7 teams.
Yeah, two very solid sides. Big result for Whitlets. They were, I think, they were 2-0 down, come back to 3-2, and then it turned out to be a 3-3 draw away to Petershill. Obviously, kind of Ryan getting in there at Whitlets, he's wanting to kind of get results on the board. That'll be a massive boost of confidence to go 2-0 down against a really good Petershill side, bring it back to 3-2. He'll probably be disappointed they didn't get the 3 points, but he can take a lot out of that result.
It's what that'll do for the changing room as well. The fact that they were 2 goals behind, it shows where their mentality is, and that they're not ready to give up on this, and they're all in for the manager. And it's what the actual performance tells you alone, because it'd been pretty easy for them to be 2 goals down and chuck it and just like, here we go again, we're going to lose again type thing. But they've not done that. They've showed a great mentality in that game to do it. But it's Petershill will not be happy with that one, to be honest, as well.
Big result for Kilburn. They won 4-0 at home to Neilston, but the big news coming out of that game was the resignation of Neilston manager Kevin Muirhead and his staff. I feel for Kevin, I think it's a difficult one, because he obviously done a really good job at Muirkirk, took the gamble of going to Neilston, done really well to keep them up, and it's just not been a good start. And I think Kevin will be one of those guys that I've had the pleasure of speaking to him on the show as well. He's always struck me as one of those guys. He'll take responsibility if things aren't working, but he's the sort of guy who'll get a job again, no bother.
Aye, well, that's it. Listen, he's obviously resigned. He probably, I don't know. I don't know the guys, to be honest, but normally if you've resigned, it maybe means that you're saying that you feel as if you can't take it any further, and your club's best interest at heart there above your own, and you've just got to tip your hat to that, and hopefully that he gets back in at some point, which is, better than me, so I'm sure he will. But you don't like to see anybody resign or lose their job, but it's not been working out at Neilston, and you hope that the next manager comes in, because they're a good club. But I think they lost a lot of their good players as well in the summer as well. I'm sure Halliday went to Benburb as well.
Yeah.
It's a tough ask for them, but in a very tough division as well. So you just hope that they can pick it up and start getting the points. But it is a shame, and I hope he does get back in at some point.
Yeah, I've no doubt he will. Big result for Kilburn.
Oh, definitely. Massive for Kilburn. Absolutely massive. But again, for them, it's just, can they put that run together now? Can they back it up the next week? And that's really big. I can't stress that enough. You do need to back it up the next week, and which I think they will. It's amazing what a win can do. See, when you've not had it for a while and then you can do it. We had that ourselves as well. Like, if you feel as if it's not too going well, and then if you just get that win, and it's amazing just the difference it makes in training. And then you get to the Saturday, and that wee bit of belief comes in as well. And listen, vice versa, Neilston maybe just need that. They maybe just need that wee win to just springboard it.
Yeah.
And maybe that will happen for the both teams. Who knows? But that's one that one of them had to pick up the win. I don't think a draw would have really bothered either one of them, to be honest.
A big result for Ashfield. They won 3-0 away at St Roch's. Bobby Barr with a double. Cambuslang, big result for them. They won 3-2 at home to Maybole. Ashfield, I think they're the second top goal scorers, and they can score 30 goals, but they've conceded 19. They'll be wanting again just to kind of a big clean sheet. That'll give them a boost. And Cambuslang, it's only their second win of the season. That's a huge 3 points for them.
Aye, it's because it's been a tough time for Cambuslang as well. Am I right in saying I'm sure Ashfield beat them like 7 or 8-0 at home as well? I've seen a few of Paul's newspaper articles as well, and he's not been happy, and he's not been happy with a lot of stuff, and he's obviously just chipping away at it and trying to make changes week in, week out, and trying to fix it, and it's obviously worked that weekend there, so whatever he's doing, he'll be happy with that, and he'll be trying to fix it. But even Maybole as well, like they're a top side. Mable's, it's just, again, it's just like so what I'm doing in that division, like you just listen. You would never get a cut him up in that division anyway if you were putting him on.
No, you certainly wouldn't. Second division, big game was Vale of Clyde versus Ardrossan. It finished 3-2 to Ardrossan. They returned to the top of the table. Big result for Mary Hill. They won 2-0 away to Cumbernauld United. And it's just shook up the top of that table. Ardrossan back top in 27 points. I've been really surprised with starting Mary Hill. I think Mark, there was a bunch of credit for the start they've made.
Massive what he's doing there, and I think probably on a shoestring budget as well. So no, he's doing really, really well. And I was really surprised with the Cumbernauld result because Nizzy and Dolsey have done really well with him. I was surprised by that, but again, there's like that top half of the table can all kind of fight it out in that league, and I think there is a wee bit of a gap towards the bottom, but in that sort of top half, it's a close group of teams, and I think obviously Craig Mark as well. I think PG and Nixon got off to a winning start.
They did. They won away to St Anthony's as well, which was a big start for them.
I think, am I right in saying they didn't take over the week before? Because I'm sure, did Craig Mark win the week before that?
I think they were just watching. I think they were just watching that weekend.
Again, that's massive for them as well, because again, you might see that happening for what we were talking about there with Neilston. You might see that happening as well. Just that new manager bounce that came in, and you might see it springboard them as well. But aye, it's an interesting league that to watch, to be honest with you, because I think even Kilsyth even putting a bit of pressure on them as well, and Pally Locos as well, who well coached teams as well with Carlo and Kev.
Bonnet and the Lark Holloway wins as well. Yoker got a big win at home to fourth. There's some good sides in that league, and obviously the kind of more consistency. And there's one thing that schemes you about that league is just there's a lot of solid sides who just have, as you say, are well coached.
And you don't. I know there was a 5-3 in there, but they don't seem to be a lot of goals scored in them as well. It just seems to be good, solid defensive teams. Like even teams like Larkhall. I'm sure Larkhall went and beat Drumchapel in the cup the week before, so they're all capable of big performances, big results, and that's another one that will go to the wire. But literally, I do quite like now in the West that we've kind of obviously went through a season or two, like the leagues like sort of even themselves out with the promotion, and I do feel as if most leagues now are very competitive, whereas I think you used to have that big gap sometimes in some of the leagues, but you're not really getting that now. And I think even in Division 4 is the same. And every division, I think you could go through and say there's no easy games, and that's what you want, to be honest with you. You don't want that.
No, you absolutely don't. Third division result of the weekend. I think probably the result of the West, probably all weekend. Kello Rovers 2, Glasgow United 1. They've had such a struggle to start their season. Kello to get that win against a side that started really well, Glasgow United. What a result for them.
Did you see the video of that with the ref tell the kids? Is that even?
I don't see what the issue is.
No, that was weird. I've never seen that before. But that was I was buzzing for Kello, to be honest with you. I've even though I'm at the team, but I just feel as if like it must be so hard for those clubs, like in every aspect, like even because I think they're obviously on their own ground, and even just financially try to keep that running, try to keep the team going, and obviously their location doesn't help as well. They're in the middle of nowhere near enough. So when you see them, like they're sitting at the bottom of the table, no points, and then they go and pick up points against Glasgow United, but it just shows you in these leagues as well that you can't take any game for granted, because I think everybody would have been saying Glasgow United will go down there, do the business, and it'll keep the top of the table interesting. But it just shows you if you're not quite on it and you're off it just a wee bit, there's always in the West that you're going to get beat, to be honest with you. And I think I'm not saying that's what's happened to Glasgow United, but reading between the lines, I would say it is. But no, really good for Kello. And they'll be buzzing with that. And it'll be interesting to see if they can keep that going as well and maybe go again, and what that'll do for their confidence as well.
I think that could be a huge result for them, and it just gives you, like, see, just getting that first win when you've been such a poor run, it can just kick you on. And I think when they're getting players back, like I was speaking to a couple of guys at the club, and they were saying, like, we're just, once we get players back, I think we'll do all right. And when you beat a side like that who have started really well, it'll give them such a boost. Bells Hill, they remain top. They sit unbeaten. They won 2-1 at home to Vale of Leven. Irvine Vicks, they're sitting second as well. They won 2-1 away to Port Glasgow. Dalry won 4-1 at home to Girvan. Greenock 3-1 at home to Les Mahago. Ardea, big away result for them. They beat Kilsyth 2-1. 3-3, Lanark United 2 and West Park United 0, Fanart 3. What was the kind of eye-catching results there, do you think?
The Fanart one, I thought Fanart done really well. But Bells Hill are absolutely flying in that
really
league,
good
aren't they?
start, yeah.
They're doing really, really well. They look as if they're kind of unstoppable now, to be honest with you. Like, as if they're going, the way it looks just now, as if they're just going to fly through the season. They seem to have a really close group there as well. I've watched a couple of their highlights now and again, and they just seem to have a really close group of boys, and they just seem to be really fighting for each other. And I think Bells Hill have been my surprise package. I thought they would be up there, but I didn't think they were going to be flying away with it just at the way they are just now. But they've really impressed me, Bells Hill, to be honest. And every week they seem to be doing it as well.
Brilliant start. Really good results for like Dalry, Greenock as well. I think Fanart, as you say, there's some good sides in that league, and I think they'll be all, once they kind of play each other, it's going to be very interesting. Fourth division, obviously we spoke about Rossvale's result. Some interesting results. New Mains, I think, beating Saltcoats 6-0 at home. Like, some good results in there. BSC winning away at Easterhouse, St Peters and Glenvale winning. Some really good results in there. Royal Albert beating Thorn. We were mentioning off air before we come on about Royal Albert. It's just been a massive turnaround there in the past few weeks.
And you know something, I'm really pleased for, obviously, Peter and Donald, who ran obviously Royal Albert for years and years and years, and you'll not go to a better place and get treated better than what you will at Royal Albert. Great group there, but I quite like their vision. They've kind of come in and they've stepped away from it, and they've let a sort of a younger manager come in and corner, and they've obviously uplifted Les Mahago Saturday morning team.
Yeah.
Put them in there, and I watched them a couple of times last year. They're a top side, so I think you'll see a totally different Royal Albert now. And I wasn't surprised in the slightest on Saturday when I seen that they had beat Thorn, and Thorn's a top side, but I know the quality that Royal Albert will have now, and they'll be a total different proposition, and you'll see them climb the league. In my opinion, I'll see them climb the league. But it's exciting times for the Albert as well, because it's probably been a bit stale there. Obviously, I know they won the league a good few years back as well, but it's good for them, and it's probably something they need, that wee shake up, a bit of loads of fresh faces in, brand new squad of players, a fresh impetus into the club, new targets, just a hungry manager as well, a young hungry manager to just try and take them forward. And I think you've seen that, because the week before they beat Kello 3-0 as well in the cup, and then they've went and backed it up again with beating Form 2-0 as well. So they're not conceding goals and they're scoring as well. So fair play to Royal Albert. But they'll be a tough team for anybody that's coming up against them now.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, obviously we've kind of looked at the action over the weekend. Just kind of mentioning in Rossvale again, just looking at the fixtures, you've got some big home ties, like home to East Kilbride Thistle, then a couple of weeks home to Lugar, home to Thorn. Massive home games, and you'll just be wanting, kind of, as you say, a home run just to get back to winning ways would be good for you.
Listen, we just need to get back on the horse a wee bit. What we have proved already is that we can put a run together, and we just need to get back to that. We'll be into training tomorrow night. We'll be in Thursday. We'll work hard. We'll right the wrongs for the weekend. But just on the weekend, Campbell Town for me, they deserve the result. Simple as that. As I said earlier on, if you're not quite at it in any division in the West, you'll get beat, and we weren't at it. Simple as that. And we got what we deserved on the day. So we know we've got work to do. Our next game coming up will be KFA, so that's all we're focusing on the now, and that'll be a tough game. That'll be a really tough game. Az's got them scoring a load of goals. To be honest with you, like they're scoring a lot. And they've ran a few top teams close. Like I've seen they ran St Peter's close as well. So listen, that'll be a tough game. It's a home game, which I feel as if we've not played at home in ages, to be honest with you. So it'll be good.
I've come to this now.
So looking forward to getting back into it, and try to right the wrongs. I suppose that's a good thing about football. You always get another game to try and fix it.
Yeah, you certainly do, mate. And it's been a pleasure to be on the show as always, mate. And best of luck at what you're doing at Rossvale. Thoroughly appreciate it.
No, I appreciate that, mate. And hopefully, if I go on a wee run, then I'll need to come on every week.
Always welcome, mate. Anytime you want. Always a pleasure. Thank you very much to everyone who's tuned in. Please follow us on social media, and as always, subscribe to our YouTube and podcast channels. And we'll be back soon for the next episode of the West of Scotland Show. Cheers.